I want to see more entrepreneurs do it the right way. So maybe it would be a thing where it's really giving back to the community where people work there. Right. You understand? Instead of just buying weed there, you actually work there.
Lava for Good and Stand Together Music present the War on Drugs podcast, Season 2. This season, we're diving deeper into the real stories behind the war on drugs, its impact, its failures, and the people offering a better path forward. Today on the show, rapper, songwriter, storyteller, member of famed Buffalo, New York hip-hop collective Griselda, collaborator with Lil Wayne, Busta Rhymes, Eminem, and Snoop Dogg, and modern cannabis impresario, Benny the Butcher. All right, welcome to another edition of Season 2 of the War on Drugs.
Man, we're back.
Yeah. Again, this is the season we're talking to people, real people, talking about some of the problems that we still face today in the drug war. And we have an amazing one, someone that has seen the drug war from the illegal side to the legal side to
raps about it very well.
About it, yeah.
Very well. One of the best to do it, man. Benny the Butcher. We got him right here on the War on Drugs.
And I think you said it, it's kind of Rick James and Benny are the two names you might know from
Rick James and Griselda. That's the clique. And Benny is one of the coldest to do it. It was great meeting him. Solid dude, man. I didn't realize he's in Atlanta. So
that was amazing. I was pretty excited that we didn't have to go to Buffalo in November.
Yeah. That might have been one of the only Zoom ones we had to do.
That's just not going to happen. Even though we just dragged your ass from Atlanta to DC. It's about 20 degrees here for this one. Yeah.
But hey, we got to make it work.
Yeah. No, but Benny was amazing. I'm 37, so I grew up in my hip hop with like G Unit, and kind of these foundations of like soul and hip and things, and Benny raps like that and his music like that, and it feels nostalgic but still progress. And if people have kind of been a little bit squeamish about like, I don't really like the rap that's been coming out, Benny kind of has this old school, new school sound that like, if you grew up in that time period, I think if you haven't listened to music, I think you'll really like it.
It's got that gritty feel, that 90s hip hop. They really held down the New York sound that's kind of been abandoned by New York. Yeah. And the fact that Buffalo, upstate New York area, who has never really been on the map on the hip hop scene, is carrying that torch. That's cool, man. And I think people get hyper focused on the mainstream stuff. Mm-hmm. But if you want gritty street tales that talk about the war on drugs, there's no place better than Benny the Butcher.
I agree. Yeah. No, it was. He's an amazing artist. He was, and again, kind of like be real, all these guys that had seen the struggles. He's dealt with getting convicted on drug charges. Oh, man, he's seen the in and out of everything. He's been shot. If you
listen to his music, not only will he he doesn't just glamorize it or glorify it. He lets you know the real side of things.
No, it was really cool. And we were in his studio in Atlanta when we did this, and it was just an awesome scene. And he has his logos around, the two butcher knives with blood. And,
come on, man.
Yeah, very the like symbolic. Coming. And it was on election day.
Yes,
just see,
it was that day.
It was that day.
We didn't even know at that point.
Yeah. We ended that recording. We're like, we'll try to get the flights out now.
Yeah.
It's like I'm gonna get to the airport now. Yeah, before the polls close. Right. But no, everything was great, and he was really amazing with his time. And like we teased before the last episode, really takes us through the differences between the weed business, cannabis industry.
Broke that down perfectly, and I don't think I'll let him break it down for you, because I've never heard it broken down.
When I saw your eyes light up about it, I was like, well, this isn't, if Clayton hasn't heard about it, this is.
I mean, it's one of those things that it makes sense once you hear about it, but I've never heard it put in that manner where it made that much sense.
No, totally agree. I mean, that's why he's such a poet. Yeah. I mean, he puts things in ways that makes you think. No, without further ado, can't wait for you to hear about this. Just amazing stories growing up in the inner city of Buffalo, what he dealt with. It's that, very similar story that we hear about the drug game kind of in Prohibition, the war, just hurting and harming, damaging communities, someone rising up through music and art and being able to potentially now, become a businessman into this industry. And again, very similar to Be Real, we talk about a lot of the problems with the small business industry. We get into that with the weed business, cannabis industry, and why that weed business continues to proliferate. So yeah. Well, I'm gonna shut up. Yeah. Nah, let's go.
Do it.
Yeah.
Man, we got Benny the Butcher right now live on the War on Drugs 100%. Podcast. Let's do it, man.
Let's go.
Yeah.
The Butcher coming. I say
it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I needed to hear that,
awesome
man.
Thanks for coming on, man. Yeah,
yes.
Appreciate it.
Yes, Buffalo's finest. Let's jump in, man, because I think you tie into a lot of what we talk about on this podcast. First season, we were kind of just talking about the war on drugs in broader strokes. Right. Overall, how it started, where it came from, how it's still happening. And this season, we want to get in with people who have, like, actual experience dealing with the war on drugs. 100%. And, so tell us a little bit about Buffalo, man, just coming from there and making it out of Buffalo as big as you. Because Rick James, Benny the Butcher. That's what I feel like I know as far as like music.
Man, it's a lot of us from there, you know what I'm saying? But man, Buffalo is a blue collar city.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Real independent hustle, real grinders come from there. Right on the steel belt.
Yeah.
Close to Canada. It's a bunch of culture in Buffalo. It's like was in the backdrop of like the Underground Railroad, a lot of, you know what I'm saying, during that period of time.
That's where people was going?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We was up there kicking it, basically almost purchasing a farm. And the people tell them they used to call this like Freedom Way because this is what the slave scene when they was coming across the green after they got, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Buffalo just that place, man. You know what I'm saying? Niagara Falls right there, the Buffalo Bills, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Been to a Bills game. That was awesome.
Oh man, that's a crazy experience. That's a crazy experience right there. I'm happy
for you.
Hard,
yeah,
that was fun. Yeah.
Man,
crazy people. Yeah, I loved it.
I feel like a lot of times in the music, I kind of paint the city dark. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but it's just my overall view, what I seen.
Okay.
Because it's definitely that there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's definitely the oppression there. It's definitely the well, all the good shit I said is like we always top 5 in poorest cities in the nation.
Right.
Always, like you said, no rappers ever came from Buffalo. You know what I'm saying? And that shit is important.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because everybody not gonna look to an NFL player, NBA player, or a hockey player, or
everybody ain't got the athletic. Everybody ain't got the size.
Exactly. So you need different kind of pillars from your city to represent different communities. And I feel like we were that, and we are that. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Now, so man, Buffalo is cold as fuck.
Yeah. I've been
I've
been there a few times. I got to get back up there, man.
Yes, sir.
Like, yeah.
I know Buffalo has been, in the last couple of years kind of in the news and as a divisive town. Like, I think when people kind of think that, it's either kind of the Bills or like, oh yeah, there's been a lot of, history of, racial discrimination. And can you talk about what's unique about Buffalo? We were kind of talking about that a lot before this. Like, what's unique about Buffalo and how was it growing up there?
Man, far as the racial tension, it really wasn't a thing. But it's America.
Yeah.
Right.
So it definitely was a thing, but we always hear about the neighborhood in Lovejoy where they always chase the black kids out of that neighborhood.
Okay.
You feel what I'm saying? And
I like that.
I like that neighborhood, Lovejoy, right?
Right.
Neighborhood called
Ain't
Lovejoy.
no love, ain't no joy over here, man.
Exactly, man. But I love Lovejoy. I love that neighborhood. I lived in that neighborhood before I got family who live in that neighborhood as we speak right now. So, but I'm pretty sure that was going on before my era. I'm pretty sure people older than me have a different story about that. But still in all, we it's a city of neighbors. You feel what I'm saying? We definitely rally together. Is the racial tension is definitely a part of Buffalo, but it's not. I don't want to say it's not nothing that you blatantly see every day.
Right.
It's around.
Right.
Ain't like you going to a restaurant and like get out.
Right.
Ain't no shit like that though.
Yeah.
But it's just it's a bunch of no hats, no shirts, no white tees.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? It's a bunch of shit like that.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying?
Talking to somebody without saying who we talking to. Yeah, I got you.
But like I said, just American shit that I know that's happening everywhere else. But, I love my city, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like we do rally together no matter what color, no matter where you from, you know what I'm saying? So Buffalo is a strong place, but just that east side. Yeah. When you come from an urban neighborhood, oh my goodness, the thing about this job that I got as a rapper, taking me abroad and getting me to travel, is I get to see so much. What you really think, them people who in them ghettos every day, they think that's real life. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They think that is real fucking life. That's not real life just because you go through that. You know what I'm saying? And it's a small percentage of, not a small percentage, but it's greater percentages of the population who don't even know what that type of life is about.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying? So,
absolutely, yeah.
So to feel like what we go through is normal for us.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? So getting to see that, you know, it was different. It's a bunch of meanings to life, and life is beautiful. It's not just, you know, East Side trying to stay alive and surviving and trying to have more than the next man and not get taken under, you know.
Yeah.
And just like I said, I still love the city, but I just wish, you know, everybody in that life get a glimpse of what it's like to be outside that life.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just a glimpse, because it sounds crazy, but people really don't.
Yeah.
They really don't. Like, that's all they fucking know.
And that survival mode, there's so much stuff you can't even deal with. You don't even know how to relax a lot of times. You know, I'm just thinking too, like lyrics and stuff you put in your song, like 5 to 50. I don't know if y'all still together.
That's my wife. That's my
wife. You know how celebrity relationships
right.
go.
Shout out India. Shout out India.
Cool. Shout out India. I wanted to make sure everything's good. Okay, cool. So she basically got kind of like a little interlude on there in between. You spitting about how the door got kicked in by the well, I don't know. It
was the Buffalo State Police.
Okay.
Buffalo City Police, but she had always told me a story that she was like, she was like, my father told me about you. I'm like, your father? She was like, yeah. I'm like, I don't know your father. But he kind of knew my area. Like I said, my neighborhood is known for heroin. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he was like, be careful with him. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that guy, he from over there. You know, that's not that drug is different. You know what I'm saying? It's like, he was basically giving her the ropes and shit like that. And she had told me, and I'm like, that's crazy. So when years pass, and I want her to give her point of view on my life. I'm like, I didn't make up the stories for her. I'm like, tell something.
Yeah.
I did tell her to say that. I'm like, tell that story you always tell me about your pops.
Yeah.
So she told me, she's like, yeah, my father told me be careful around him and this and that. And then she told a story about the police one day. I mean, because that was her own decision to tell that story. But this is like the last raid I ever been in, thank God.
Okay.
Man, the police come, and I remember I got like 2 ounces of dope, and I'm trying to figure out. I always like put it up before I go to sleep, so I know like if they kick the door in, I know exactly where it's at. I know what I'm doing,
right? And
I remember putting it up. So I hear somebody knock at the door, and I go to the door and I look, and I see police cars parked out there and shit. I'm like, fuck. You know what I'm saying? But I stay with my homeboy.
Okay.
You know, India got her own crib at the time.
Okay.
It's me and my homeboy, we live together. She really never went home.
Right,
She would just stand with me.
Yeah.
But it's our crib. So he lived there. So, you know, me and him we both doing our thing. We really wasn't doing it out the house, but come on now.
Right,
you know what I'm saying?
Right, yeah.
I went out and I'm like, police. I went and I'm telling her like, yo, the police at the door. She's like, you want me to get it? And I'm like, yeah, go get it. So while she's going to go get it, I get the shit. And then I'm so disheveled. I'm looking for it. Like I said, I just put it up and shit.
Right.
I end up finding it, but I go to the bathroom, and then I can hear them coming up the back steps. You know, Buffalo's houses. They coming up the back steps, and I can hear them coming up the front steps. So I got the dope in my hand, and I just flush it. Boom. They like, he's flushing. He's flushing. Yeah. They come in there, and I'm like, yo, I just woke up. I was taking a piss. Yeah. They came in there. They sat me down. And you know, the crazy thing about it is, this is not crazy, but when it happened, I'm thinking, like, they never asked me my name. But like, think they don't know my fucking name,
right? Yeah. They knew, yeah.
Why would they gotta ask me my name? I had 3 felonies in, 3 bids in by then. They don't gotta ask me my name. They know who I am. So they was just asking me for my boy. Shout out my boy Josh. They're like, where Josh at? Like, I don't know. But he just really sleep in the back room, so he could hear this shit going on.
Yeah.
So once they did some work and went in the back room and got him, they just took him because it was for him. It wasn't for me.
Okay.
It was an arrest warrant, maybe not a search warrant. I don't know how that shit go, but. Yeah, that was what the story was about.
Right.
And I was scared shitless that day. You know what I'm saying? Like, shitless. I'm a type of person, man. I went to church. There's people who know me who would have said, like, man, this guy gonna be a preacher or some shit.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying?
I could have seen that. Yeah.
I mean, you preaching on that mic sometimes. You did.
Right. It makes sense. It makes
I would
sense.
say so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was a guy who got to see from both sides. You know what I'm saying? I always speak on my mom. I always mention her in my music. Shout out my mom. You know, she had her struggle with drug addiction. She's clean now. You know what I'm saying? She's at the crib. She lived with me. You know what I'm saying? And you know what I mean? I love my mom, and you know the burdens that she went through and carried that we inherited. You know, made us who we are today. So I love my mom, but it's like, man, growing up, a lot of times we only see the dope dealers with the shit. We only see them. So we think, man, that's the easiest path.
Right.
Remember how you said, the guy said, like, yo, you pretty funny. Like, those be the dope boys telling us that. Like, you cool, shorty.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn.
Right.
He told me I'm cool.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? Like, those are only guys who really look, man, I seen you, man. You know, man, I like how you put that together. So it's like, man, watching, and I'm from a block that did $20,000 every day. When I come off out my door, and I walk down the stairs, walking to the bus stop, niggas making money from 6 in the morning.
Right.
Generally heroin at that point?
Yeah, but it was some of everything, but it was generally heroin. You know what I'm saying? And we seen that. You know, my block made a lot of millionaires, rats, gangsters, stand-up guys, everything. You know what I'm saying? And we seen that. You know what I mean? Coming from that neighborhood had an influence on us. You know? Of course, we could have been other things, but who showed us that?
Right, exactly.
You know, they told us.
Right.
Who showed us that? That's so important. You know what I'm saying? To show people something is so important. I mean, even me being in my position, so I'm like, why we gotta show people? I'm telling you, you could believe in it. Just go. It's on you. It's your life. But man, to show people is a totally different thing than to tell them.
Let me get into it too. You still dealing with the harassment from the police. You become that target, and like you said, it's an easy target.
Yeah, we talk about like drugs were the thing that allowed the federal government to control people because, you know, you can't say you're going to do like a war on murder. That's like a state thing. And a war on robbery, or what are you going to do? A war on what? Drugs, that's physical, it's money, it's going across state lines, and people don't like it. And now we can target people that we don't like.
It's like, it is good now because you can smoke in New York State, smoking in front of a police officer. Down here in Atlanta, it's not legal.
Right.
I don't know how the fuck it ain't legal.
Okay, so look, Atlanta, I put it like this. Atlanta, I think we on an ounce or less is just a ticket.
Okay.
In the city of Atlanta. But you know the way Atlanta's set up. You get off an exit, this ain't Atlanta no more. You in Cobb County.
Had court yesterday in Clayco. You know what I'm saying?
Clayco to work.
Well, I got a weed charge down here.
Yeah, I got.
That's what I'm saying.
This goes back to last season.
Okay,
so I got a lawsuit going on with Eric Andre and a few other people because they harassing people in the airport. The Clayton County Police Department basically using the airport as an ATM. They stopped me at the jet bridge when I'm getting on the plane. This was past security. They asking me, do you got drugs? Do you got any money? Whoop, whoop. So got with him. He told me they doing this lawsuit. The lawyers did research. They found out they call it a drug intervention program. They came across 10 people the whole time. Like they looked at 8 months from when Eric got stopped and when I got stopped. 10 times they stopped people. The most they found was maybe like 7 grams of weed. But in that time frame, they confiscated over $1 million from people.
From like 400, I think it was like 450 people over that time.
Crazy. That's fucked up.
And I think like through Atlanta Hartsfield, it was like 8% is non-white, and they're saying it was randomized, and I think over half were non-white that were actually stopped. And so it's that sort of thing. Have you ever had an experience or know someone that like where it's coming in cash?
Myself.
I'm saying, I'm assuming so. Yeah.
Myself, because I'm not going to talk too much about it, but like I caught my case in the airport.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? I wasn't like smuggling, shit like that. Like I said, it's like I was on tour. I had weed in my bag.
Right.
And I wanted to bring my weed. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It was legal from where I was leaving at.
Right.
When I landed, I'm like, oh shit, that's in the bag. You know what I'm saying? And they locked me up for that shit.
Right.
So I just attested it to that. You know what I'm saying? Every time I go, they pulling me over like, yo, we got to go through your bags. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Or stand over here, because I get that all the time. Even when I go through Clear. When I go through Clear, there's like random ID. Like how I always get random ID. Like all the time. You feel what I'm saying? So
you just took a picture of my eyes. I'm pretty sure this wasn't that random.
I feel like something's changed. Something's changed. You know what I'm saying? But
you know, when New York getting the legalization of weed, how's that affected Buffalo? Has it made you seen any positive changes? You see anybody like us? You see any black people that are allowed, to get the license or however they're going about it?
100%, because it's like this. In New York State, people who had drug felonies, those was the first people eligible to open up dispensaries.
Oh, okay, that's
you know
right.
What I'm saying?
They
did
that. Okay.
So like a couple years ago, people was hitting my phone. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, I'm like, damn, how you know I got felonies and shit? You know what I mean? Like, yo, you want a dispensary, man? They shooting it at us first. So from that time to this one, you got two things. You got weed business,
right?
And you got the cannabis industry.
There you go. Okay.
The cannabis industry.
Break that down for
the cannabis industry happens in dispensaries and on farms.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Maybe after 6 p.m. when those when those dispensary lights go off and other lights come on, it's still weed being sold in like America everywhere. That's not through dispensaries, because I'm gonna say the quality, and I'm gonna say the access.
Yeah.
Some people don't. They don't got access to go to dispensaries. It's a drug still now.
Yeah.
And I'm learning too. I'm learning how to shop for marijuana in dispensaries. You got to learn. You know what I'm saying? You got to get familiar with the brands and everything like that. But man, it definitely changed so much. And I probably know 2 or 3 guys who got dispensaries.
Okay.
And I want to see 200 or 300. You know what I'm saying? And around the nation, 2 or 3,000, 2 or 3 million, because they threw us a bone.
Yeah.
You feel me?
Yeah.
They threw us a bone, and it could work. I see it working for a lot of people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I do feel like it did change for the good.
Yeah, and how much, cannabis is like the kind of gateway into a lot of people, like the government to be able to intrude, like the smell the odor of marijuana coming from the car, to be able to search the car, those types of things. And so even just getting it, decriminalized and legalized, to be able to remove those types of like kind of arrows in the quiver from government to kind of intrude in your life is a good step forward. And obviously from the commercial side. So you're in the cannabis business.
The cannabis industry.
Cannabis industry.
Cannabis
We're in the cannabis industry.
Yeah. It's an industry.
And so I'd be curious, kind of talk about what you've seen just as a small business owner. What have been some of the impediments that you've seen? I know we've seen a lot about like how there's like kind of big cannabis kind of coming in and taking over. We have similar stuff with like alcohol, where there's like, you think there's all these brands, but there's really like 4 huge mega brands. Like Bacardi owns like every drink you've ever had. Sometimes they get the first foot forward in a lot of states because they write the laws if it goes to a ballot. I know we've seen that in a lot of places. So talked about that. Like, what are some of the things that you've seen that have been great, like kind of improving in the cannabis industry? What has been impediments still? I'm just curious to kind of hear about all that. Yeah.
Oh, well, like the cannabis industry, like when I go to dispensaries and I see middle class people walk into dispensaries and they buy their weed and shit. And I like that. You know what I mean? That shows growth in the industry. But this is what you want to know. It's like, it's certain neighborhoods that the dispensary is never going to affect. Right. You know what I'm saying? It's regular neighborhood dudes who got them under a foothold.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
It's brand loyalty. Right. Yeah.
But when the goal is, because like I said, I want to see more entrepreneurs do it the right way. So the goal is for it to happen. Right. And when it do happen, like we said, it's only like a few big companies. Hopefully they reach out. Right. You know what I'm saying? Not saying that like one of the top companies is gonna call a trapper or pull up in the hood, but it's like, hopefully those opportunities through educating ourselves and learning more about it. You know what I'm saying? With those guys who trapping, who doing shit, through educating themselves, learning more about that shit and building a team up, those more opportunities. Because guess what? Maybe it will kind of like turn into a McDonald's type of thing. You feel what I'm saying? Where the neighborhood is eating off of it. Because like, just like McDonald's, when you go I'm from the hood. When you go to McDonald's, it's like everybody in the hood working that motherfucker. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So maybe it would be a thing where it's really giving back to the community, where people work there. Right. You understand? Instead of just buying weed there, you actually work there. And there's 3 of them to this neighborhood. So that's the ultimate goal, because it's a weed trap in every hood, you know what I'm saying? So it really can turn into a thing like that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I think like that's years down the line though. I think, you know what I'm saying? Because it's gonna take 2 different sides. How it did with the government. You know what I'm saying? The government, the weed business, cannabis industry, you know what I'm saying? Right. Let me speak on this too. I don't feel like the cannabis industry affects the weed business. It's 2 different things. Yeah. You feel what I'm saying? It's like it's seafood at McDonald's, man. Yeah. When you want seafood, you're going. You know what I'm saying? You don't got taste for them, both of the motherfuckers at the same time. Right. You feel what I'm saying? Okay, the difference between the cannabis industry and the weed business is this. First and foremost, I'm gonna start with the product. Okay. You feel what I'm saying? Because federally, you can't go state to state with
right.
it.
Yeah.
The state has to grow the flower. You know, a lot of states is not, you know, they don't got top-notch growers. Like, everybody don't got them green thumbs like that. Some people grow it better.
Right.
Like I said, ain't like you could have legally, ain't like you could have this place supplying everything, so you know it's that A1 shit.
Right.
And then second, it's the where you getting it from.
Right.
You know? We know, like, you got to maybe call somebody with a phone. Old school, call somebody with a phone and he pull up on you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But now, the cannabis industry helped the weed business because a lot of these dudes got traps, and you walk in them and it look just like a dispensary.
Okay.
You can't tell the difference, but you're really in an
White
illegal
chick with the
weed
dreads
trap.
and everything.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
she's
No,
there too.
yeah.
I don't know how it is in New York State or in other places where weed is legal at. But I'm pretty sure the police can't put up like crazy efforts to shut this building down.
No, yeah, it's
You know
more
what I'm saying?
regulators and stuff. There's not like criminal like penalties as much.
Where the product, definitely the product. Like I said, sometimes the weed business got better product than the cannabis industry. And then like the location where you get it from, because maybe 10 years from now, if a middle class person wanted to go get their weed and shit, they had to still go to the hood or call their dealer whoever he was.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You used to have to like almost be in a sketchy situation to get it. Now it's not like that.
Exactly.
You could walk in like even in a weed business, you could walk in some shit like, man, this is a nice dispensary. Yeah. It's illegal.
Yeah.
Fuckers got AKs back in the back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But people wouldn't go fully legit when they got all the abilities to do. They invest in money and putting it together, or you know what I'm saying? Man, they got that shit rocking and rolling already, man. Yeah. The guy who runs that is nowhere around it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And the people who in there, by the time the police stop here and do what they gonna do or say what they gonna say, we made a lot of money and it's gonna be a slap on the wrist by the time it come. Yeah. And people do this shit when it's dangerous, let alone it's a slap on the wrist. People do this shit when they making a tiny bit of money and gonna get life. Let alone you making a bunch of money and police don't give a fuck.
Right.
So it's like, why? You know what I'm saying? But like I said, through educating them fellas more, I can say if them fellas was a little bit educated, a little bit more, because I'm pretty sure they know they shit, they'll switch it up. Because why even have that looming over your head?
Right.
You know
and the more it comes out in the open, it's, well, why wouldn't I do this? Yeah.
And one thing I think is the government not going to stand for that, because they got people paying taxes on it now.
Yeah.
Because when I open up the butcher's dispensaries and I open up 10 in the neighborhood, I don't want motherfuckers just, you know what I'm saying?
Right. You don't see
I got business partners and investors.
Really.
Right,
yeah. There's no bootleg liquor stores. They're all legitimate now, right? Like,
so I think it's going to get there, man. It's going to get so refined in the next 10 years that it'll be something totally different than what it is today.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But
now that you said it, weed business, cannabis industry. I lived out in LA for about 3 years. I would even see it out there.
Right.
Because of course you got the cookie store, you got the man, you got the store that do it right. And then you got stores where you can't have your phone out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
You're like, hold on, are y'all running power off a generator in this bitch?
Real
like,
shit, exactly.
Yeah, and so you see, and so like that makes perfect sense. And I knew what was going on, but I never made that distinction and separation like that.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
Yeah.
Because I want people to know the difference. And I'm thinking while we talking.
Yeah.
Another thing is it's the players in the game. You feel what I'm saying? They all hustlers. They just hustlers from different aspects of life. They all hustlers. Man, I was in Buffalo one day. I was at a rooftop. I lived in this building. We going away to the rooftop. I was coming in the building. I seen a tall motherfucker on with some jewelry. Tall motherfucker with jewelry and shit. A Dior outfit on. No, this Buffalo. Nobody fucking come here with shit.
Right,
if it ain't me, I'm like, I don't know this guy. You know what I'm saying? It's me and my niggas.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But he looked familiar though. So he came and spoke to me. He came like, yo, I fuck with your shit. So now I'm realizing it's James Johnson.
Okay.
Play ball.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, thinking, man, like, what the fuck you doing here? And he's here with an investment group of people, and they opened up a dispensary in Buffalo. You know what I'm saying? Coming to look at the land, and they asked me up there, it's like, yo, we need somebody with skin in the game who from here. So be a partner, and don't got to give no money or no nothing. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Shout out my boys. You know what I'm saying? It's a few of them, and that was to what you were saying. That's what I was saying. The players of the game is different. Those are cannabis industry guys who made their money elsewhere, who looking to make investments.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Just like they would any other investment.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, they want return. ROI.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So those the players, and then you got the street guys. They the same way. They made their money. They trying to get the heat off of them.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They trying to go legal. But to what you were saying, it's like it opened up your network. You know what I'm saying? You know, James, JJ with his people, and they kicking it with me about, you know what I'm saying, these guys who I wouldn't have met on a regular basis.
Right,
So it's going to open up your fucking network. You know what I'm saying? That's the important thing.
And open up people that made it in other places that you would never have even thought about in your entire life.
100%. You know what I'm saying? It's like me, what I'm doing is I got my brand, and I'm putting the brand in stores. I'm pretty sure, like I said, it's so premature right now. It came a long way from where it was, but I'm pretty sure, you know, dudes is getting all type of ideas of how they're going to do this and work together. I'm pretty sure the wheels is turning with these guys where they trying to figure out how we're going to take this to the next level.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And the consumption is the next thing. But to your answer, man, I really don't know, but the guys who I meet, they all smart dudes who do that shit.
Right.
They all smart dudes. They come from a lifestyle where they made money already, or they made money from the game. Right. You know what I'm saying? Or they just super ambitious, and they gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
Like, you know what hustlers say: if you can make it, you can make it again.
100%. That's what it's about. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
One of the things we know were some of the investments are not coming because the cannabis industry is still treated so differently than so many other industries.
Right.
You alluded to earlier, like, if you have to grow in your state, you can't ship it across states, you can't ship it internationally. There's limits on what types of products you can have. The type of financial institutions, there's it's still a lot of big cash only business where you're carrying around lots of cash. So you're not actually in the regular market.
100%.
And that still spooks people a lot. And actually really, if we want to have, when you're talking about 2-3 million, cannabis industries coming out there,
right.
obviously those are the limits, because then your competition's only going to be domestic and only limits how much we get to sell. And I know that's been a big issue with where kind of the black market starts coming in, because all these people sell as much weed as they possibly can, and then any other offload from their fields, maybe can go over here. And so, I'm just curious, like, have you seen some of those impediments, like to seeing like, okay, we could see the cannabis industry getting to this point, but being from inside the game, like, what are you seeing from that you see, like, those impediments that, like, hey, we got to destroy these barriers, and this is how we can get to that next level, either government, private, whatever it is.
I think it's a government thing first. I think it's a government thing first, where the transpo, because it's some big brands in the weed business, some big popular brands, and if you put that might drive some consumers to the dispensaries who from the streets. It's like, yo, they got that shit. Right. Are we going over there?
I've been wanting to try that.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I think it's like definitely governmental, and it's like guys just got to integrate with the cannabis industry and the weed business. Now, a lot of these guys, man, I don't want to put nobody fucking business out there, but sometimes these the same people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? It's like they really got to figure it out and take this loophole and run with it. And man, I'm just now realizing that it's like, damn, it's like one day we're going to be able to be like fucking Morgan Freeman doing a fucking joint commercial. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. When it gets to that, when the government like lets his foot all the way off, because like I said, through motherfuckers a bone, but when they let their foot all the way off, and then people looking at it like, yo, it's like alcohol. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like once it fits the agenda again, you know what I'm saying? Maybe it'll go further, but I think it's a lot of integration. Like I said, I believe we in a premature states of this shit. You know what I'm saying? Because I remember seeing it change over time in California. My first time ever going to California was only 2017, and I remember the prices being low, and they being high, and they being low, and it being different. So even them over there, they going through shit. So like I said, man, we just caught the early stages
We're
of it.
guinea pigs for this whole thing right now.
Exactly.
Totally.
Like you said, they're figuring it out legally to where everybody can benefit and not have that over their head.
And the lines is not blurred. You know what I'm saying? It's really one thing. And I think that'll work for everybody. You know what I'm saying? When there's one thing.
We're taping this on election day, which is
this is election day
crazy.
Today.
And
who y'all vote for? And I'm just
so we're gonna go to
man, it's all about.
But it's the first time in United States history where the two parties, both the candidates, have advocated for legalization.
Yeah, that's
such
a start.
Crazy change.
That's a start.
In dynamics.
That's a start.
Yeah. And it feels like it's happened in such a short period of time, at least from the public perception. Yeah.
I think so too. I think so too, because we went like weed illegal for fucking ever.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just now in the past few years, you could like do this in front of a police officer. You know what I'm saying? It's like they find some shit on you and be like, you know what I'm saying? Well, this is legal now. You know what I mean?
Man, the places that has happened has surprised me, man. I'm driving to do a show, Alabama, got a little bit on me. They pulled me over. I don't even want to deal with it. I told them, I said, hey, I got a little bit. I'm thinking it's Alabama. I'm already preparing, like, let me go ahead and call somebody, get the bond money. He said, man, dump it out and step on it, and I'm going to let you go. And I was like, is this a trap? Like, what?
Right,
like,
right,
you know what I'm saying?
right,
But I'm
right.
like, Alabama,
Feel like it's like
out of
Chris
all
Hansen.
the
It's like, oh, you're
states,
free to
like,
leave. Yeah.
With all of that though,
Yeah.
it's definitely like that. And I've been let off too. But still with that, that's why they need to get rid of this shit and just do away with it. Cause I got another open case for weed for half a blunt.
Right.
I talk too much shit to the police a lot of the time. I just tell them some shit like, if you want to do your day doing paperwork, I'm willing to do it with you.
Right.
This shit gonna last me to the next morning or whatever. If you really want to throw your day away, let's go.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They don't like that shit. Still wrote something up. You know what I'm saying? I had to go to court, and I'm still going to court for this shit. Happened like almost a year and a half ago, and for a little half a blunt. You know what I'm saying? The weed was bullshit too.
Yeah, this ain't even good.
The weed was bullshit. You know what I'm saying? You can have that motherfucker. You know? I did talk to my attorney, and it was like, it's gonna get, when I go to court, it's gonna get resolved.
Okay.
Right.
But it's like,
it's ridiculous how many resources and harassing you.
Right.
I work in like policy and things like that. So we were looking at a situation in Tennessee. Actually, it was a family from Alabama going to Tennessee or vice versa. Cops stopped them, did this like field drug test kit thing where it's like a $2 kit and it tests substances. Yeah. And then it said, it was like, oh, you have cocaine and you had like all this stuff in your system. Took their kids away. Because of like cannabis, because they had like someone had used and they did like a follicle test and said like, you can't be around your kids anymore. And it's that sort of stuff. It's not always just like the arrest, the jail, because you hear law enforcement say there's not a bunch of people in prison for a joint in their and it's like, you know what, that's right. But it's all the other stuff that comes around with that.
Exactly.
It's the harassment, it's the criminal record that doesn't get you a job anymore. It's all the other things that makes you a second-class citizen in our society that still is around the cannabis industry while it's still being legalized and people are making millions around the country.
That's what's going to happen.
Crazy.
It's going to be more. It's going to end up being more conflicting than smooth. So they're going to have to figure that out.
Right.
It's too much shit going on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, for sure.
When a bunch of those cases, when people start like, like raising hell about shit like that, then they're going to come like, why not? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But that's what I was thinking about it. Like, maybe it's about to be legal everywhere, because that's what they're going to do. They're going to fucking rake in all the money they can.
Yeah.
Because this shit, when it's gone, it might be gone forever.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's like millions of dollars, if not billions a year, that people pay through fines and bails and all type of crazy shit. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, no, and you see that with like, after like Ferguson happened, in that time period, the FBI, the DOJ came in, Department of Justice, and did a report about what was going on in the city before that. They've FOIA'd all these emails from like the city council telling the police like, hey, we need 10% more revenue. Can you ticket more people?
So, all right, man, what do you think, this whole thing needs to go? What needs to happen to get Benny the Butcher's vision? Because I like your vision. If you was running for office today, I'd vote for you, brother.
Let me get that vote.
Yeah, you got that. Put him on the red and blue poster. Yeah,
100%.
But that goes back to what you said in the beginning. You what you're showing and what you showing people
exactly
is dope. You showing people all sides.
Yeah, man. I appreciate the opportunity to do this, man.
No, we appreciate having
Is the war on drugs over, or is it still going on?
Still going on.
It's still going
loud and proud. Yeah.
No, thanks for coming through and doing this, man.
No, I enjoyed this interview.
I really enjoyed it. It was good to have
brother.
some positivity on a day that is probably going to be very unpositive.
I want to go home
and
watch the rest of the election like it's a Super Bowl.
Oh, we doing that. I'm getting hot wings every day, baby.
Exactly. Hell yeah.
No. There it is.
There it is.
Man, the story about that raid.
Crazy.
Just think about what would have happened if he wasn't able to flush that, or if he would have got caught at that point.
Yeah, or he thought the people that, sprang in and into this place were trying to rob them or cause harm.
Yeah.
The Breonna Taylor incident is a great,
literally
when he was describing it, the broad strokes sounded almost identical.
Yeah, and I hope people can hear that and understand that these types of things, it's not uncommon for somebody to come and rob somebody. Well, why would she shoot back? Why would this person have a gun? Why would it's always why did they do this? Or if they did that, then it must be this. And I think everybody's gonna try to protect themselves. And those no-knock warrants, man, it's dangerous for everybody involved.
It is. No, it's dangerous for the people. It's dangerous for the police officers. We hear mistakes happen. Yeah. Honest mistakes happen, mistake like where you get the wrong address, or again, it's just.
And we've seen this happen so many times.
Or you're working in an organization where certain people may come to your house and try to rob you. Yeah,
that have nothing to do with law enforcement.
Yes,
and they'll have the same tactical gear, just no badge.
Yeah, and I love Benny coming from another time. Sometimes we're always like, oh, it's doom and gloom and bad, and there's always these things, but like. You could really tell, he even asked, like, oh, the drug war's still going on. Because, in a lot of ways, a lot of those things have ended. Like that, he sees as like the real, major impediment, the things that were going on. And so we have made that progress, but we still have a lot of bad things. No-knock warrants are still going on all the time, all day, every day.
It's still places where there's not progress. And even where there is progress, it may just be in one small area. Like we talked about with Atlanta. Like he got arrested outside of Atlanta for having the weed. And that's an Atlanta thing. If you're in Fulton County, you're good if you have a little bit of weed. I think they give you up to an ounce, and it's a ticket. But you cross a county line going anywhere. You could be in DeKalb, you could be in Clayton, you could be in Cobb. You're not going to see a sign or anything. You're just going to see those lights, and it's going to be a different type of car pulling you over. No. And now you're sitting in jail for something that a mile up the road would have been a ticket.
Absolutely. It's kind of it's crazy, this piecemeal like system that we have. And Benny getting he was telling a story like being in a legal county, crossing over to a non-legal, where a legal one's over there, and then getting busted in between, and and that happens all the time. And so it allows for this drug war to kind of still proliferate, and you're kind of supposed to be able to move around. I think people would be shocked to know that drug possession arrests is still by far the largest types of arrests that happen in the United States, overwhelmingly, and the majority of those are for cannabis-related offenses. So it is, even with all the progress that we've made, it is still the driver of the criminal justice. Even if people, the prosecutors love to say, like, hey, no one's going to prison for a joint. They might not be, but they might be getting harassed for it. They might be able to get their car searched for it. They might be able to have to go to jail for it for a second. They might miss their job.
They might not go to prison, but they might lose their job, which results in them losing where they live, which results in them losing their kids, so the results can go on. And there's so many ways that the whole war on drugs rears its head. Like even when you try to get out of it, in hip hop, we call it the trap. You're selling drugs. Even if you try to get out of that, like Benny did, he's still getting looked at by where he's from. You're the easiest target, so let's harass you some more, even when you're trying to make a transition to a better life.
Yeah, and so a condition of a lot of people's probation is keeping their job, and so so many times, someone loses their job because they've had to sit in jail or something else has happened, and then it just goes back in the cycle. So just something worth noting. As we continue to make this product, there are still a lot of people still sitting in prison right now for things that people are making millions out in the real world. Something to be mindful of.
Yeah. When Benny was talking about everybody coming together, like creating a collective, and that kind of brought me back to the conversation we had with Be Real.
Absolutely, yeah. He's saying the same thing. So it is like two entrepreneurs, kind of on the opposite side. They're kind of being like, this is actually what we need to do and come together. So. Again, maybe we're just we're going to go back on the recruiting trail. Yeah. Just bringing people behind us. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
One by one.
Get them together. And like you said, that's coast to coast. So we're feeling it on both sides. And both of them have their own brands.
Exactly.
As far as,
Yeah, and it's felt like they were kind of saying like, oh, they don't really know like who else is in the industry. It just feels, because you're working on so much, trying to build your own stuff, like there does need to almost be like, oh yeah, we're all doing kind of the same thing here and dealing with the same issues. Like if we came together, we could really show some of these. So maybe by the time you hear this, we'll have some more announcements on that.
Who knows? Be some stuff working.
Yeah,
we'll get some stuff in the works.
Yeah. But again, thank you so much, Benny.
For real. Yeah. Appreciate it, man.
Really appreciate it.
And he took longer than he had to. We only had him for a little while, and he stayed longer with us. So
yeah, I think his manager was like, come on, man.
He was like, man, it's time, let's go. And he was like, man, so everything you heard, super genuine, super real. Didn't have to do it, but did. So we appreciate it, man. Yeah.
And then next week, one of literally the best voices you'll ever hear come out of your radio, Brent Smith from Shinedown. And, he talks in the interview, and I'll just tease it here about like almost like a Hollywood blockbuster, moment where he's struggling with addiction. He's about to make it, and his addiction's about to bring it all down. And it's almost like this moment with his manager who comes on with us as well. And they kind of are like, which way are you going to go? And one of the most successful bands, not only of our time, but all time. So an amazing conversation with him. So with that, I'm Greg Glod.
I'm Clayton English.
This is The War on Drugs.
Yes.